All right, we're gonna be following it pretty tightly, and so we'll move on through this. All right, let's go ahead and begin. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Personnel Administration Committee. Today is Tuesday, June the 6th, 2023. It is noon here in Monroe County, Indiana. We are in the HR Council Conference Room. Thank you for joining us in person, and thank you for those of us joining in Zoom land. I call this meeting to order, and for the record, I note that we have two of our members here, so we do have quorum. As we are looking at the agenda, are there any changes to the agenda today? Hearing none. Do we need to do a voice vote to adopt it, or just if there's no changes, we just adopt it? All right. And for the record, Councilmember McKim is walking in. So we're going to go ahead and start with our first item on the agenda. This is item number 3 on the agenda. If you're joining us online, you can go at co.monroe.in.us and find this agenda on our website. And so we'll start with our Employee Services Department. Angie Purdy is here and Elizabeth Sensenstein. And we'll start with the first part, which is a request for a new position and classification review for an administrative assistant. What's going on here?
Exactly what you said, a request for a new position. This would be a person in our department that would assist both myself as the personnel administrator and the payroll administrator. We sent the draft that we'd come up with, so those duties are outlined there, but this person would perform a lot of the routine tasks. There's a lot of data entry that we do to put new employee information into our systems. This person would do that, help with some other things, some tracking things and reporting things that I do. They'd be the backup to the payroll person and do some.
Excuse me a moment.
Go ahead.
The closed captioning isn't working and you speak so softly
Okay.
for those of us.
TSD, could you please turn the closed
I'd
captioning on?
really like to know what you're saying.
Well, they're working.
Say
on
what?
that.
See this?
Now, it's not really a new position, it's reinstitution of the old position. So
So
that
it's-
position was there. It just was unfunded for a while, right?
There we
I'm
go.
sorry to interrupt.
Hold on, let's get closed captioning up so that all of the PAC members.
Oh, you should be able to turn it on with one of the settings in the 3 little dots.
That says you pull, the middle. You pull, yeah, that's the middle. Oh, that's that, no. Click on the, oh. Yeah, oops. Do more again. More, yeah, this is 3 dots. Now caption. And hit it. Show captions, show captions, there, but you're gonna close the transcript. So it's, you got a more, yeah, more. So you're at other captions, I think, yep. Now, and then close there, it's up 1. Yep, there you go, okay.
Excellent. All right, so Elizabeth Sensenstein, we're back on track.
Yes, this
and-
person would assist me and the payroll administrator. They would be backup to the payroll administrator, essentially making 3 people in our office equipped with the knowledge to do payroll if necessary. And yeah, happy to answer any questions.
All right, let's look to PAC members. Any initial questions or comments on this new position?
The comment I would have is if the auditor should take back the payroll duties, as one might think she would, either this one or the next one, then we'd have to determine what happens to that decision. The other thing, and this one is more of a fiscal response, is that we know that we have a court case coming up in November that's going to tell us how this county is going to survive financially. And so to add new people on now, it could be very dangerous, because then we may have to look at who's going to make it through Unless people decide we want a new tax, the trail tax.
Well, I can address the auditor's thing.
Hold on one second. We want to make sure that we're hearing from TAC members. Come on in, agendas are on the table. Mr. McKim, do you have any questions or comments at this point?
Well, I do, but I guess I would mind hearing that, the auditor address
Sure.
Councilor Hawk's question.
Okay, first off, that's really a question. So here's what happens now. Now we have new software that the commissioners have purchased to accumulate everybody's time electronically. So when it is accumulated electronically, it turns into a set of data that goes automatically into our accounting system. So what this person does is just make sure that what is turned in when things change, and each week as their time accumulates, it matches the salary ordinance and it's paid according to the salary ordinance. Then that file is uploaded. They can't upload the file without the auditor and the treasurer being involved. So we are totally involved in payroll. We just don't do the hands-on changes that she's talking about. And so what has happened in the world is banking people now open bank accounts on their phone and they're switching back and forth constantly. And it's constantly a fight not to get their pay scammed. I guess it's okay to say that, right? It's a constant fight.
That's true.
Okay, and I think.
So that is a part that we don't
doesn't
have time to do, but we do sign the claims. I sign every claim and everything's processed the same way. And I do want to point out that position is actually not really a new position. We had that position and we ran into some issues and that position went away for a while because we took some work back, the auditing back. But now, honestly, with everything that's going on on this side, we want to make sure there's enough hands-on to do it
We're
right.
gonna get through the whole thing together. Say things quick.
So what are you not able, excuse me, what are you not able to get done without this position? What activities get delayed or take longer?
There are a lot of things that I have to triage, the things that are required by law to be done, a lot of data entry with new employees. And I have to enter them into 4 or 5 or 6 different websites to verify all that information. And that keeps me from being able to do higher level things, do other reports, meet with employees, I'm not doing in-person orientation right now because I don't have time to spend with those employees, bi-weekly for 3 or 4 hours doing that. So there's a lot of being able to, for me personally, to be able to do some more meetings and things that take me out of the office. I'm hesitant to schedule those things because I have data entry and things that I need to be doing. And so I'm doing high level things and I'm doing a lot of time consuming work. And there also are no internal controls in place in our office for the payroll system. And for me, if there's things that I'm entering, no one else is double checking those and vice versa with payroll. So we need a third set of eyes to make sure that we're not entering someone's direct deposit incorrectly, which causes a trickle down effect of errors and things on other departments and some other things like that. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
So it's majorly payroll problem.
No.
No, and when you're saying, making sure. that
I'm
you're
giving you
getting
examples,
things
but there's also FMLA tracking, workers' compensation thing. Those are my responsibilities. And there's a lot of tracking and things I would like to do to provide better customer service to our employees that I'm unable to do because I don't have the time to dedicate to that, to the response.
The high level, you don't have the time to do the high level things you want to do because you're doing.
Data entry.
It's either way. It depends on the day, but
Yeah.
yes.
And those low level things are required. They're
Right,
not- They can't be skipped.
yes, exactly.
I don't question that.
One of the items in the job description that's in the packet is the ability for this person to de-escalate stressful situations. And I know that's probably not something that people think about in your department, but it's a reality in your department.
It is sometimes, this person in particular may be talking with somebody, an employee who made a change to something and I don't know, but it could be an employee that's upset with something payroll related, salary related, like something like that, where sometimes we do run into that where taxes during tax time, if an employee didn't get enough to their taxes taken out at tax time and they didn't understand that process or something like that, we can deal with employees who are frustrated with the process, yes.
Okay, all right, great. Michelle, do you have anything to add to this item before I entertain a motion?
No, I don't. They've completed all the paperwork and required by WIS, so
Okay,
they're ready to go on my end.
all right, hearing that, are there any questions or comments, or is there a motion?
I mean, I guess my only comment is that I do echo Counselor Hawk's concern overall fiscally, but I understand that's not actually the scope that we're looking at right now, but. I mean, we have added several, or probably will by the end of the year, have added several positions, and we're gonna have to.
And I mean, I guess I would just also to comment on what Auditor Smith said is that the HR department did have multiple positions previously and we scaled down.
Yeah.
And we are unable to do, we are doing more than that office did before with less people. And now we have, like they said, we've added in this new component of the time and attendance system, which causes it's more work on us to do. And we're still doing that with less people. And so in order for us to do things effectively and efficiently, I would advocate for some help.
Do you believe that you have a job description from whoever was there before, so we don't have to send off to WIS again?
It's not the same
Okay,
position.
never mind.
Yeah.
It sounded
They
to me
wouldn't
like
be
you were saying there was somebody there doing it, then there's not.
Was that the
the
HR
office.
generalist position?
Yes, so there's
Okay,
HR
yeah,
director,
that was a
HR, yeah.
That was a little higher level, it's probably lower.
Yes.
So it's in our interest to get it reclassed there, or
Okay.
to get it.
Correct.
So what she said she did and what she actually did were two different things. Because she did a lot of low level things, because there just wasn't anybody to help do.
Right, I'm
gotta-
just
you
saying
gotta
that
cover
was
the
a higher
bases.
classified.
You gotta cover the bases.
And in terms of process, I think that's the action that's being requested on the agenda is that we bring this to WIS. We get that classification and then we bring it back to the council for broader consideration.
Yeah,
All right, move we forward the position description for the administrative assistant and employee services to list classification.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and we will get this off to WIS. All right, let's tackle item number B, letter B, not number B.
sure.
Request for a second review of the personnel administrator description.
Yeah, I think this is just moving off of the last meeting where we asked, we had this conversation last time, but there was a miscommunication between or misunderstanding with WIS and who oversees the employee services department and how that corresponds with the commissioners and administrator. And so I think we just want to resend it back to them to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Pat, questions or comments?
What was the misunderstanding?
They thought that the commissioner's administrator was the department head of the employee services department, but I think that this personnel administrator position would be the department head, and then it would fall in the same structure as the other departments that are overseen by the commissioner's office, rather than reporting directly to the commissioner's office. So it makes that.
Yeah, so
Correct
what you're
understanding.
saying, if I may, is that, I think that with. What they had said was that they would reduce, it would most likely result in a reduction of the administrators, my position of classification, if we move her to a department head type position.
Would you mind scooting a little closer to the owl?
Hey, I'll just be right here. And so, but given the way the civil side of our government works, the commissioner's administrator, my position is actually over a number of departments. And so by increasing the personnel administrator's position to an EXE would not really affect still my authority or the obligations that fall under the position of the commissioner's administrator. whether it be me or anybody else.
So like building
Yeah,
is an example of that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Might I just add that I think it's very strange that WIS worked with them for some time, would not have checked to see what your job duties are. But I do understand the theory, if you take some job duties away from one position and give it to another, you've got to subtract all of them.
Yes.
So, but I don't understand why they would have made such a mistake.
I thought it was also
Was it a new
interesting. too.
person or something? I'm just.
I sent the org chart with, I sent the org chart to Wes. And I sent just the snapshot of the employee services. So it had, the administrator, commissioner's administrator, then it had the personnel, and then under it, it had payroll. So it didn't show the encompassing of the administrator's position with all the other. So I want to resend that so they have the full picture instead of the snapshot.
And then it should also include that position, and then that position reports to the commissioners.
Correct, and
And
so,
because that is the entire flow chart.
right, and I didn't realize that when I sent it off, that snapshot would give that much confusion.
Okay, I understand.
And that's on pages 21 and 22 of the packet today, those org charts.
Yeah.
So that's if you're visually oriented like me, that's a good place to kind of,
That's where I found the other mistakes.
Sure.
Right.
are there any other questions or comments on? Or were you finished? Excuse me.
I am, I was just laughing at me, gotta get up now.
If you want to scoot your chair up, you can. We were intentionally deliberating a long time, knowing that you were getting a leg workout.
I will point out that I have asked the commissioners and will continue to ask commissioners to add chief of the commissioner staff to Angie's title, because that makes it a little clearer. Right now, it doesn't show, a person might not read her title and realize that she's chief over all those department heads. And I think that's a weakness in that title.
All right, well, we will tackle that
All right,
when we get to it. Is there a motion on the floor, or Kim, are we good on this?
No, I have all the paperwork that I need if you wish to send it back to Wes.
All right, and usually I would ask our employee services department about this, but you're presenting, so. Mr. McKim,
yeah, move we forward the personnel administrator back to WIS for a second review.
do we have a second?
Okay.
All right, we're hearing a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we'll get things sent off to WIS
Thank you.
and we'll meet back here at a soon to be determined time.
Thank you, and I'm going to.
You're very welcome, yeah. All right, next, item number 4 on our agenda, we have the Youth Services Bureau. Vanessa Schmidt is here to talk about review of a WIS recommendation for a data specialist. What's going on here?
Hi, so Vanessa Schmidt, Deputy Director. I'm here with Emily Arthur. She's our data specialist. We are here actually to make a request of the PAC committee to put pause on the WIS recommendations. We've had some internal conversations and would like a little bit more time to do additional revisions to the job description that we submitted previously. After kind of looking at that and reviewing, we think we may have inaccurately represented a few things and left some things out. So we're asking to just put pause and be able to come back to the next committee meeting and request again to relook at that position.
All right,
So is WIS currently considering the position description?
Yes, it has already been sent and sent back, and it came back with no change to the classification.
It's printed for your check.
And I would like to suggest to you that the next time you want something removed, you don't have to come sit through all this stress, send us her message
I appreciate it.
saying you want it removed.
Okay,
So
Yeah,
really,
You're trying to do that.
so really all you just want is to have this added to the next packet.
yes, please.
We're trying to get us back some time.
Yeah.
Okay, move we continue this item to the next pack meeting.
second,
Okay.
all those in favor of continuing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed? The ayes have it. We'll see you at the next PAC meeting.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to number 5 on the agenda, the clerk's office. We have Tree Martin here for a request for review and reclassification for an election supervisor. What's going on here?
Well,
as you know, elections are becoming more difficult.
Yes.
More demanding, more is required from the citizens, more is required from us from the Indiana Election Division. More is required from us from your local media. We hired a new person as election supervisor, and going through training with her, you realize that the job description just hits the highlights. So we took the job description and we began to add, no, this is your responsibility. No, this is your responsibility. When you look at all the red on the job description, you realize that the pay does not match the job. So we're asking to move the comment C to a cat C. So we can keep quality people and we can compensate them for hard work.
All right, thank you very much. Pack, comments or questions?
Well, I mean, I don't dispute that that position is probably underclassified, but I mean, we don't. Usually we start by having the position classified based on the accurate position description. So is the idea here to approve this revised position description and send it for classification? Is that,
Whatever it takes to get the job upgraded.
I mean, do you feel like that, I do see a lot of the red there.
I feel like the job is severely undercompensated. I just finished the 2022 election in January of this year. Not because we're slow workers, a lot is required.
Okay, do you feel like the red line version now accurately represents the
More so,
scope and
yes, I do.
scale of the job?
So it appears to me that we've sent things off the list, we come back. They don't like the answer, so they rework the description. And by that, I don't mean they're trying to be deceitful. I just mean they think, oh, we better make sure we added everything. But how many times are we gonna do this for all of the departments? We want to do this.
Yeah, I certainly had a similar thought. However, I think in this case, it hasn't gone to WIS for reclassification yet. So I hear you.
It did when we reclassed everything. I mean, didn't we just do the reclassification?
Yes.
That's why I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
February 2 years ago.
yeah. But there's definitely a lot of red in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about all of it.
Well, a lot does change every year in elections. And I understand you can turn your back on it, but when you're training someone, then you realize, oh, this doesn't match. Well, no, you have to do this too. Oh, sorry, after the election, no, it's really not over yet. You have all these reports that have to be done. And the job description really didn't say that. It said, responsible for elections. That's a broad term. So we just broke it down into what you're actually responsible for.
And the fiscal impact of this would go from a $22.91 per hour at Comet C to a $27.84 Pat C.
That's a 3-year. We base that on the current election supervisor.
Okay.
I guess, I mean, I support sending this back to WIS for classification based on the revised job description. I'm perfectly happy to do that. We just don't usually start. We can't start with the classification. We have to hear
Right,
what they said,
that's the whole point.
but I mean,
Go big or go
it certainly
home.
needs to be based on an accurate job description. So, I mean, given that you have made these revisions, I move we forward the revised position description to WIS for classification.
Without a suggested.
Yeah,
We're not supposed to tell them, this is what. we
Right,
want
they'll
to do.
factor it according to the factor evaluation.
It's like the bank's telling you what to raise that house for, so they can make the loan.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? All right, so we have a motion, second. Is there discussion on this item from council administrator? Is there discussion on this from county legal?
Wanted to say.
Okay.
So in reviewing this job description, I did want to point out that there are some things in the job description that are the statutory duties of the clerk. For example, the clerk by statute serves as the election board secretary. So she would be responsible for the minutes and those secretarial duties. Now she can delegate the task, but ultimately still is responsible for it. and to some degree, her compensation counts for those tasks.
Okay, so that's just like if the auditor has statutory duties and she delegates to somebody else, it's still her statutory duty.
Correct.
So is it written in such a way that would be confusing to list?
Let's see, where is that?
I don't know that I can predict what's confusing to us at this point.
Or
Or-
should you just
Yeah,
make sure they understand it really is the clerk's?
can we include some comment? I'm turning away from you to ask him a question. Can we include a comment to WIS to explain that? Yeah.
Where, I'm sorry.
Yeah, which
Can you tell
section
me
are
where that
you?
is? I'm,
Oh, okay.
Whenever legislation changed, it did it not on how much clerk was to be paid per day. That was part of the legislation change this year.
Did that get approved?
But
I think-
Jeff's looking at his watch, so we gotta like.
no,
Yeah.
I got a message, sorry, I'm not, that's not about being in a hurry.
Yes, I do believe there was legislation pertaining to the voter registration per diem.
What sections are there multiple sections that you've identified?
Well, there's some, it's kind of intermittent here. There is the voter registration duties, and then there is on page, the first page is kind of blank, so page 32 of the packet has the, that this position would be responsible for election board minutes. That falls within the, secretary's job of the election board. On that same page, it says that this position would present new sites to the county election board for approval. Although this is somewhat of a semantic and not related to this job description, the commissioners approve precinct sites or polling sites for approval. So it's things like that that's in there.
So are you suggesting more work needs
She's
to be
recommending it to the election board.
Yes,
I do
first it
believe
goes to the election board. So are you suggesting more work needs to be done before it goes off the list?
I think we could clarify in the job description that some of these tasks are the statutorily duties of the clerk being delegated. And I'm happy to work
That's
with.
fair, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Because I do, the clerk is busy, right? He
Right.
can't do all of these
Right,
things.
yeah, we don't, the elected
Um,
officials are allowed to delegate those.
So I think it just needs to be clear that this is a delegation of those duties.
Okay, well, I don't want
And we
it to
can-
have to come back to PAC, so.
I mean, could
We
I,
can,
we
what's
just,
your schedule allow?
could we just agree to have that be done?
I think Ms. Martin and I could work on this and have it to WIS by the end of the week.
That's great. That makes sense.
I accept that as part of my motion.
Okay.
Forward this to Liz.
All right, before I call for a vote, is there anything from employee services? Is there anything from council administration? All right. So, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Yep, congratulations.
It's hard to believe that that's a comment.
I know, I totally. agree.
Criminal.
It's very-
Well, yes, and when we think about the wonderful person that was serving there, that served the county so well.
We've all been over there when it's just a total nightmare and this person's
Thank you so
organizing the cats. So
Thank
we
you.
know that you got a hard job.
My last supervisor was one.
All right, let's move on to item number 6, the aviation department. Mr. Carlos Laverty is with us here to talk about the airport operations team lead, one of 3 items.
That's correct. Yes, thank you.
All right, welcome, and what's going on here?
Okay, over the years, airport operations have grown more complex, requiring effective leadership on the ground to ensure smooth daily operations. The creation of a new position, the airport operations team lead, is proposed to meet this need. The team lead will act as a primary point of contact for the operations team, overseeing daily activities, coordinating maintenance, and assisting in administrative tasks. This leadership position will improve coordination and response times, thus enhancing the overall efficiency of operations. We currently have 5 employees in the airport operations specialist position. They're kind of our boots on the ground. They perform all the maintenance functions, aircraft rescue, firefighting on our 1,300 acre campus. But what we find is we need the assistant airport director position needs routinely somebody from that group to step up and kind of be the point of contact for a lot of the day-to-day just oversight, supervision, scheduling, and prioritization of tasks amongst the group. The assistant director has a lot of administrative tasks, regulatory compliance, meetings with contractors, vendors, and constantly having to communicate and being pulled away for just routine day-to-day maintenance for things that are going on the airport takes away from that efficiency of that position. So from time to time, like we are actually doing this week, we have to ask somebody, one of the current 5 specialists, to kind of step up, because this week the assistant director is gone for aircraft rescue firefighting training. And so we just kind of pick somebody who we think is gonna be around most of the week and ask them to kind of step up and be the lead for the week. So we kind of want to formalize this. This is something we've been doing pretty much on our own anyways, but we want to formalize this and make basically a foreman, but I don't want to call it a foreman. We want to call it a team lead position. And I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's something we've been doing. We just kind of want to make it legitimate now.
All right, thank you for that. Any questions or comments from
I have
Pat?
a comment. I really like the term team lead. I know my daughter teaches, and so she's the team lead for the entire grade that she's in.
Yeah,
And so she's the team lead. And so it makes a lot of sense. It doesn't make it sound so onerous as a supervisor. It's just like they're pulling it together and helping make decisions.
yeah, it's kind of what you would typically call a foreman position, but I think that's a term a lot of us are trying to get away from these days, and it just makes a lot of sense.
So, so just to look at this in context with the next request, you're essentially proposing to get rid of one position and
It's just an administrative thing. The position that we're requesting to retire is what the assistant director position, it's just a name change, but it's still on the books.
Right, retired the name.
okay.
Yeah, we want to retire the airport operations manager job description because it's no longer relevant.
I think that was probably bad language to say retire, because I too thought, oh.
Yeah.
yes, that's me.
Any,
And just what I would like to reiterate too is we're not actually hiring anybody new. We're gonna make one of the existing 5.
Okay.
that was my question.
That's-
Yeah.
We're not bringing anybody else on
That
board.
answers.
There's the
Okay.
5 they already have, and one of them.
One of them's gonna be
is
the lead.
going to help the other 4. Yeah,
Okay, fine.
and thank you for taking so much time with me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for listening.
If there's no other questions or comments from PAC, I'll look to council administrator. All the paperwork's in, everything's fine.
Mhm.
No questions, ducks are in a row.
Yep, it was a new position. Yes.
Employee services, everything's good. All right, is there a motion?
Okay, move we forward to WISP classification airport operations team lead position.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any further conversation? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. We will get this off to us.
Thank you.
All right, let's do the next item, which is we just touched on. It's listed as retirement, but it's not quite a retirement. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, Kim asked that we do this as just kind of a cleanup function. What used to be called the airport operations manager. We went through a process with PAC and WISP, I believe it was a year and a half ago, where it was reclassified and WISP recommended that the title be changed to assistant airport director. So we did that, but we still have the manager position on the book still. We just want to basically delete. There's nobody in that position now. And again, it's just called, we have an assistant airport director.
All right, questions, comments
Just cleaning things up, that's fine.
on the board? org charts, the operations manager has two people assigned to them or reporting up to them. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, the way it used to be was any part-time that help that we got reported to the operations manager, and the 5 specialists reported to the operations manager.
Who will they report to now?
The assistant airport director,
Okay,
and that is actually the
And
next.
that's, we're clearing up.
Yeah.
all right. I'm getting ahead of myself. Excuse me. All right, do we take a motion here or do we just?
Just received it.
Just received it, yeah.
All right, wonderful. Let's go on to item C, which is the request to update the org chart, which we were just talking about. So I don't know, do you want to reiterate yourself or?
Yeah, well, and actually, what we're requesting is that, yes, the airport operations manager be deleted off the org chart, and that the org chart be adjusted to reflect some changes that have been made to other positions in the last few years. The financial manager, airport secretary, and airport operations specialist. Over the last handful of years, those positions have been updated as far as their job descriptions. And we want to update the org chart to reflect that, the fact that the financial office manager reports to the airport director. The airport secretary reports to the airport director. And there were, of course, the deletion of the operations manager position. So we also incorporated, and maybe we jumped the gun on this, but we incorporated the airport operations team lead into this org chart. So perhaps I could request that this be approved to reflect
Well, it's proposed.
yeah,
It's proposed.
yeah, so maybe I could just request that we accept this org chart with the proposed changes to the airport operations team lead and the existing job descriptions on the condition that the position the airport operations team lead is created.
All right, thank you, Mr. Leverty. Any questions or comments from PAC?
I mean, I'm pretty much always inclined to defer to a department head on how to organize the department, so. I'm fine with it.
All right,
The reason this came up with the financial manager and the secretary, as when Carlos came and wanted to, as its lead position, I did the org chart, and so I went through the job descriptions to make sure, that our org chart matched. Well, on the job descriptions is reflects the original.
The operations.
With the operations and everything. So that's why I had wanted him. I said, well, since we're going to be doing this, let's just update everybody's job descriptions to reflect the correct reporting structure, and then as well as then, update the org chart. So the reporting structure does not have to go back to WIS. That is something that council can approve, but we wanted to make sure it was okay with, PAC, that we were making these changes to those 3 job descriptions.
Okay, I move that we make the appropriate changes or that we forward to the council the appropriate changes in the job descriptions to implement the org chart as presented here.
hearing a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. All right, we're gonna get this going for you.
Thanks.
All right, let me get back up to the agenda. We have a 98-page packet today, so navigating it's a little fun. All right, we are on item number 7, the auditor's office. So we'll start with letter A, which is a request to amend the job description title for the general ledger manager. We have Kathy Smith and Bree Gregory with us here today. What's going on?
Okay, so we have found that there is a need for more grant support from my office for the departments. So in addition to greater need for grant support, like to train, answer questions, just really being there to
We keep getting asked for more and more.
more and more. And in addition, we have been involved in writing and drafting policy, for leadership to approve, et cetera. So this would just, put some of those duties, to a job description, and, just kind of make that effective. So in addition to, just the customer support, supporting the departments, so this would also, put the duties on paper, as far as like reporting requirements and staying up with, certifications and statute and so forth. So, in addition to the grant duties, there are just some general updates noted as well, just to, just so the position is better described, if you will.
Excellent. Yeah, there's a lot of red on the job description, so it's good to see, but let's look to Pack here for comments or questions.
Well, it looks like the main real additions that involve different skills are the paragraph about maintaining all county certifications related to grant assistance, and then the preparing the CFA.
It's mitigating the risk to the
Those-
county, so we don't put all of our grants at risk for one department crashing and burning a grant.
What is the classification of the GL manager right now?
To be, it's not, it's not fun. But if we start asking her to do things that people are paid a tremendous amount to do, and with higher job skills, to mitigate this risk, we really should put that in the job description. It's not fair to that person. And truthfully, it's not that Bree can't do these things, it's just Bree doesn't have the physical hours to do these things. There is so much, and the General Assembly has put so much on us now, without going into a litany of it, tremendous amount of things on us that we thought just hiring an assistant for her would help, but to just keep piling stuff on it. It seems like we're pretty much interfaced daily with DLGF and department and local government. That DLGF, which is Department of Local Finance, the Revenue Department and the State Board of Accounts, and that's all really she can do is to work to keep us out of hot water. So what happens is if we can move some of the lower level stuff this person does to the assistant position and give this person more responsibility, we're not gonna lose all of our grants because somebody tremendously screws up one small grant, which is the actual truth in lending formula.
But-
that
Okay,
that we're trying to mitigate.
but you're not, this is not a new position. This is, you are asking to potentially upgrade an
This
existing
position.
position.
We're adding duties, and then, with that, we're, want to send to WIS for classification, just so they can score, just to make sure we're still within the parameters of a PACI, or for them to adjust wherever it
Right.
should be.
Okay.
So I'm not, we're not suggesting any, upgrade, we're just simply making this description accurate to what it currently is and needs to be.
Just the way it
But
should
we do believe that there are advanced duties.
They are advanced duties, and it's need kind of delegating as well, because I love to be involved, and I am involved in the policy, and,
It's risk
I need to be
mitigation.
the more, like you were describing earlier, a little more higher level things, so the busy work can stay elsewhere.
A real life situation would be a department loses a person. The next person come in, has no idea what was in that grant or how to operate that grant. That grant crashes and burns and puts us in the bad list on the CFA, and we lose all our grants. Could be potentially millions of dollars. So why not upgrade somebody to be checking those things? We can't ask them to do something that's really not in their job description. I don't believe in that.
Absolutely.
And that takes certifications, and they need to know what to look for.
I just have to say that I recommend always that you look within your own department to see how you can redirect your duties. And make sure that everybody has the opportunity to move up as they are learning more. So this is really a great way to do this. And because I have followed everything that's going on at the state so much because of being on the council legislative group. This year legislation was full of extra job duties for the auditor's office.
And they've already told us they're gonna hit this really, really hard next year.
And
So clean it up.
might I say, a lot more duties for the county council legal department. So, yeah, because it's, it's legislation, so we rely on the legal department. to guide us on this.
But I will say the counties that are in serious hot water is not due to stealing. It's not due to mismanagement. It's due to things changing and then not getting caught up and then finding themselves where they're gonna lose serious grants. From some tiny little grant that's really a do nothing grant.
All right, well, let's move forward.
I agree, and the risk mitigation, I think, is worth talking about. Absolutely, but I also think that there's opportunity here because there's so many federal pass-through grant dollars coming down that if we don't have our ducks in a row, we're gonna be missing out on opportunities.
We had a grant administrator, but they did it away with that position.
Right.
I like that position and that could help us here, but we just don't have that position.
And what I'm saying is, council's worked really closely with your office on ARPA, and it's a lot,
It's only one
and it's only one.
of the
It's a
200.
huge one, but it's been only.
And so we have these departments with these major grants. I'm belaboring the point, but I think there's a lot of benefit here.
And the state, I'm sorry, the federal government doesn't care if it's a grant this size or that size.
Sure.
You follow the rules or you lose your grants.
And
That's
as
just
you
it.
know, and this position already had some duties obviously related to grants and just fits in really well with the ledger manager. So we feel this is very appropriate.
All right, any other additional points from council, from HR? All right, let's move forward.
Move we forward to WIS for classification, the general ledger manager position description.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there further conversation or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. All right, let's move on to letter B, the request to update your organizational chart and job descriptions. It looks like we're hitting two different jobs here, so
Okay.
tell us about it.
This is the correct one. I'm not sure you guys have the correct one. Or maybe you have to. Okay, so this was not the one in the package. It is the correct one. And so basically what had happened
Marty had one
is,
too.
and it was through attrition. Yeah, she has the other. It was through attrition. Okay, so originally we had two positions. We had the internal auditor position who directly reported to me while we developed the policy, while we looked through the county and to see what compliance issues we have. And an internal auditor is really internal auditor / compliance officer, but we just have never added that to it. But so until this got developed, it reported directly to the auditor. But now that it is developed, the policy is there, the committee is formed, it makes sense to have it report to the county financial director. Just because of logistics, that's what it is. It's all finance stuff. The other thing is the GIS customer service. And if you remember right, this was myself, this was a position that I wanted to fund out of my monies, right? To make sure that we don't lose our lid. So we got this position when we were doing that giant thing for the mayor about who should be in the city and who shouldn't be in the city. So we needed that expertise. So that person directly reported to me because of that special project. That special project has ended to the extent it's now in legal court in this position. We are done having people in the courthouse going over the maps, explaining to them whether they're in or out. This position did that. Now this position strictly would report to the property director and to protect the lit. And that is basically making sure that when we get things from surveyors or old splits and combinations, that they're actually correct and they don't jeopardize us losing the lit, because it's going to be one of those, you can't have more than this percentage of error, or you're on the bad list more than this percent, you're just gonna lose your lit. And so this is basically a GIS compliance officer, sort of. Does that make sense?
All right, well, thank you for the,
Pitch it for these others when they're out on vacation or whatever.
sure. Pat, do you have any questions or comments?
I have a question. Under the administrative assistant for the council, is that a vacant position? What is that?
Yes, that position is, right now, there's administrative assistant to the commissioners and to the council, just like there's always been. Always reported to the chief deputy who backs them up as far as their financial duties, and if they would have to be out sick or something, one couldn't account for the other because they help each other out. The general part-time is if any part-time people, like we have people working on the basement right now. So this position is open, the administrative assistant council is open today. It may be filled quickly. We can make a part-time position, but I have not advertised it because I wanted to see what the council was going to do with the council administrator position, which directly reports to me as well. And nothing, I haven't received anything that's in concrete, unless you guys know anything different than I know.
And I just,
Not today.
So
I
it's
just
open
wonder
as
what
of
the
today.
job description is.
Here, I've got it right here, but we don't take it. That's. Was that the correct one with the date?
Revised 2021.
Yeah.
Right now, that position reports first of all to the chief deputy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a Switzerland position. This is not pro council. It's absolutely it's my duties only. My reporting duties only.
Are you talking about the administrative assistant or the?
I'm talking about the county council assistant
Okay.
that reports to the chief deputy. This serves at your guys's, does the work that you guys want done.
The council, I can't see. The
Council
council administrators.
administrator.
Okay, but that
Yeah, okay.
job description is, as it is right now, it
Reports
is,
to me.
no, not the council administrator
Reports to me.
reports to you. And
It
if
says
that
it, yeah.
should change, well, then we'll have a new job description.
Right, because I take my statutory duties back.
So I'll make sure we're clear.
That's, and it says it reports to me. Is that what this is? Let's put my glasses on and read it a little clearer. Sorry about that.
Okay, well, I move we forward to, to the council, the revised position descriptions for the GIS customer service representative and internal auditor to reflect the
Yeah, it says that.
proposed org chart.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? I'll second that, or oh, you second. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I'm getting old. Can't hear.
I know you might hear.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Michelle, how we doing on this?
We're fine. Yeah, I've got everything that I need.
Everything good here? All right, all those in favor of to update the organizational chart and job descriptions, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. We'll get those updated. Thank you very much. All right, the last item on our agenda is the approval of the summary minutes as presented for May 2nd of 2023. Are there any changes?
Next question, but not.
All right, are there any changes? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. And go ahead, let's.
Okay, the part-time description here on your organizational chart. Is that the part-time position that is now inside the council office? I
No,
don't.
I asked Kate to give me a description of that position and help make a list for me of what that person's doing, and she never did that. Give that to me.
Okay, so that has to happen. Oh, you can't just have somebody.
I've been asking for a year now. We haven't asked.
Yeah.
Well, why aren't we doing a better job?
I don't know.
Okay, sorry, so you hear my request?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Unless Kim knows. what-
I was talking to Kim.
I didn't.
What was your request?
The request is we have somebody working in the council office with no job description.
And I've asked
But it's-
Kate to give me a job description
No,
over the past year to give me like what she wants her to do. And I haven't received that. So I
Which-
don't know if you,
I'm,
you mean Courtney?
part-time position.
I've given you that several times.
She wanted other things. She wanted things on there that's not. Which one? You gave it to me in the very beginning.
That,
Has it
That-
changed?
no, I mean, there's a part-time A, which is the person that transcribes, and then there was I think it's part-time B or however.
But it didn't have the justice and all that stuff. in there.
No,
Yes,
no.
that's what she's talking about.
No.
She's not talking about the original one that was made under. She's talking about now.
Oh,
What is she doing now?
But has there been a revision? Is that the approved from the WIS study? That
no,
one?
it hasn't even gone because we haven't, because
Okay,
we've kind of put
It's
that
not
on
coming to pack, it's
hold.
not coming back.
Yeah, it hasn't come to pack yet. We
That's
haven't
what
done
she's
anything
talking
with it because we don't know what we're doing with mine yet.
But it was, the reason why, it was confusing to me because, okay, it looked like as if we had a vacancy. Which it looked like they hadn't been
Filled.
filled, but being the frugal person I am, I thought, oh, well, that must mean that person there is filling the vacancy.
Mm,
But no, we've got a vacancy in that person who was part-time.
But they are helping. We're trying to figure out what to do right now. I don't want to advertise for a position and not know what's going on in the other positions.
Well, I
So I'm
think we
kind of
need
want-
job descriptions.
Would like that person to take.
I am prone to agree, and I think there's a recommendation that you have, Michelle, about scheduling for PAC that might
Right,
address this.
right, and we've got several things that are going to WIS, which means they'll be back probably within like 3 weeks. And so we do not have a July PAC meeting scheduled because it ended up being on July the 4th. I'm requesting if you guys can, choose a date. And we were hoping to have all the information with regards to updating my job description as well as that one in there, ready for a review
In July.
in July. So, because at that time, we don't, right at this moment, we were putting it together, but it's not ready.
Yeah, because what I saw so far was really the auditor's job.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that as long as all of that is the auditor's job is in there, then it needs to be under the auditor. If you take all of that out, then whatever anybody decides to do, I'm just saying.
Are
Okay.
members of PAC available to meet on July the 11th at noon? Marty, or Ms., I'm sorry, Councilmember Hawk, do you know?
I'm sitting here waiting on my daughter to tell me when she's moving in
Mhm.
temporarily while we find a roof over her head. So I don't know when that.
My only thing with July the 11th would be, that's also a council meeting day, which means you would be here and leave and, I don't want to have you here twice in the same day.
Oh, fine.
Well, let's not. I didn't want you to have to make 2 trips. so.
I am available.
I am
But then
too.
it's totally up to you guys.
You could do it an hour before the meeting.
I mean, you guys could do it and I could just Zoom it if Teresa's there and I'm not carrying in furniture.
Sure.
All right, so it sounds like the 11th works.
At noon?
Does it work at noon for you, or do you want to do it right before council?
If you do it right before the meeting, then I'll probably just miss it altogether. Because I can't make the meeting and the Zoom at home and then come.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
But you guys just do it, whatever
Do it at
works
noon.
for you.
Let's
Yeah,
do it
your
at noon.
voice is
Let's do it
important.
at noon.
Let's do it at noon.
So July the 11th at noon.
Yes, and we will address some of the confusion that was just identified here.
Okay.
Right.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
And Kim, by the way, I am gonna be gone next week, so I'll do my best to zoom in, but I'm definitely not in person.
Okay.
I got a work trip that came up.
Here,
That's
yeah,
good.
because she's leaving Miami, she said, I can't.
Because Kate's not gonna be here either.
And coming back after 30 years.
For everyone else, we
But she's really-
Now you can afford one more, right?
Yeah.
You got one.
Oh,
You got one more.
I've got some day drinking to do.
Day drinking at 5 o'clock. Degree in
Says
education.
you. You don't know when I'm starting. All right, I apologize. I gotta run.
Yeah.
I really want to walk.
Okay, sounds good.
I tried to get that through in 1 hour for you, Jeff.